You're pulled over for something minor. The officer walks back to your window after checking your documents and says, "Go ahead and follow me over to the station. We just need to sort a few things out." Or maybe it happens at an accident scene. "Follow the tow truck over to the lot. We'll finish up the paperwork there." Or at a checkpoint. "Pull into that lane up ahead. Follow the cones." In every one of these moments, most people just do it. It sounds procedural, almost administrative, like the next automatic step in a process you've already started. Nobody stops to ask the one question that actually matters here. Am I required to do this? Or am I being asked? This distinction matters more than almost anything else covered on this channel. Because the moment you start following an officer's vehicle to a second location, you've left the relatively well-understood territory of a roadside stop and entered a gray area that courts have spent decades trying to define clearly. Getting this wrong doesn't just cost you time. It can change the entire legal character of the encounter. I'm going to walk through exactly when officers can require this, when it's actually voluntary even though it doesn't sound like it, and the precise language to use in each version of this situation. Before I get into it, subscribe now, because this exact scenario trips up more people than almost any other moment in a stop, purely because nobody thinks to ask the obvious question in time. The legal principle that governs all of this. The foundational case here is Florida versus Royer, 1983. In that case, the Supreme Court examined a situation where officers moved a suspect from a public area of an airport to a small, enclosed room for further questioning, without his voluntary consent and without arresting him. The court held that this move exceeded what's permitted under a standard investigative stop. Relocating someone to a different, more controlled location, without their voluntary agreement, and without the level of justification an arrest requires, can convert what started as a brief investigative detention into what's called a de facto arrest. Meaning, legally, it's treated as an arrest even though the officer never used that word, and it requires the same level of justification, probable cause, that an actual arrest would. This matters enormously for the follow me scenario, because it establishes the core question you should be asking internally the moment you hear that request. Is moving to this second location actually necessary for whatever is being investigated? And am I agreeing to it voluntarily? Or is this being presented as though I have no choice? The answer changes what your rights actually are in that specific moment. The reasoning behind Royer is worth understanding, not just the outcome, because it explains why this specific fact pattern, being moved somewhere else, carries so much legal weight compared to simply being asked more questions where you already are. A brief roadside stop is limited in scope specifically because it happens in public, it's generally short, and there's an implicit understanding that it will end relatively quickly one way or another. Moving someone to a different location strips away several of those built-in limits at once. It takes longer, it removes public visibility, and it places the person in an environment controlled entirely by the officer rather than a shared public space. Courts have treated that shift as significant precisely because those changed conditions are exactly the kind of thing that increases pressure to cooperate, answer questions, or consent to things a person might not agree to in a more neutral setting. Understanding this is what makes the clarifying questions in this video make sense as more than just a formality. They're specifically testing whether you're about to enter that higher pressure environment voluntarily or not. Follow me to the station during a routine stop. Picture a stop for something minor, an equipment violation, a paperwork issue, something that doesn't obviously require an arrest. The officer says, "Just follow me back to the station. We'll get this sorted out there." This phrasing is worth pausing on because it's genuinely ambiguous, and that ambiguity is exactly the problem. The clarifying question here is simple and non-confrontational. "Officer, am I under arrest? Or is this voluntary?" This single question resolves almost everything. If you're under arrest, the officer has to have probable cause, and the rules shift entirely. You'll be transported, typically in the patrol vehicle, not asked to drive yourself, and formal arrest procedures apply from that point forward. If you're not under arrest, and the officer confirms this is voluntary, you're generally not required to comply, and you can decline. "I appreciate that, but I'd rather not. Is there anything else you need from me here?" It's worth understanding why an officer might make this request for a minor matter in the first place. Sometimes it's genuinely administrative. Certain paperwork or equipment might only be available at the station. But sometimes the underlying goal is to move the conversation to a more controlled environment, away from public view, where continued questioning might yield more than it would roadside. Neither explanation changes your rights, but understanding that both possibilities exist is exactly why the clarifying question matters so much before you agree to anything. Here's roughly how this exchange tends to go in practice. The officer hands back your documents and says, "Go ahead and follow me to the station. We'll finish this up there." You respond calmly, "Before I do, am I under arrest right now?" If the officer says no, you can follow with, "So is following you there something I'm required to do, or is it voluntary?" If the honest answer is that it's voluntary, and you'd rather handle things differently, mail in paperwork, a scheduled follow-up, or simply declining, you can say, "I'd rather not, if that's all right. Is there anything else you need from me right here?" Said in a flat, unhurried tone, none of this reads as uncooperative. It reads as someone who asked a reasonable question before agreeing to something that would have changed the entire shape of the encounter. Scenario 2. The accident scene. Follow the tow truck. After a collision, it's common for officers to direct traffic away from the scene, sometimes asking involved drivers to follow a tow truck or patrol vehicle to a nearby lot or station to complete accident paperwork. This is often genuinely administrative and reasonable. Completing an accident report properly sometimes does require relocating away from an active roadway for safety reasons, and this is one of the more common, legitimate versions of a follow me request. That said, the same underlying question is still worth asking, calmly. Am I required to go to this specific location, or can I complete this paperwork somewhere else, or have it mailed to me? In many jurisdictions, accident reports can be completed through alternative means, especially for a minor collision with no injuries. If you're told you're required to go to a specific location, you can ask directly whether you're being detained for that purpose, which tells you whether you're dealing with a voluntary administrative convenience or something with actual legal force behind it. Checkpoints and pull into that lane. DUI or license checkpoints operate under a different legal framework entirely, because checkpoints themselves have already been evaluated and generally upheld by courts as a distinct category, separate from individualized suspicion-based stops, as long as they follow a neutral, predetermined pattern rather than officer discretion about who gets stopped. Within that framework, being directed into a secondary screening lane for further evaluation is generally something officers can require as part of the checkpoint's established procedure, assuming the checkpoint itself is being operated according to its own neutral criteria. Even here, the same clarifying questions still have value. If you're directed to a secondary area, you can ask, "Am I being detained for further evaluation, or am I free to go?" If an officer says you're free to go and simultaneously asks you to pull into a specific lane anyway, that inconsistency is worth noting, because it suggests the encounter has shifted from checkpoint procedure into something requiring its own independent justification. It helps to understand what typically triggers a move to secondary screening at a checkpoint, because it's rarely random. Officers at the primary checkpoint stop are usually looking for specific indicators during a brief initial contact. The smell of alcohol, visible impairment, inconsistent answers, expired documents. Being directed to a secondary area generally means one of those indicators was present, which is different from simply being one of many cars passing through a checkpoint. Knowing this doesn't change what you should say, but it does help explain why the secondary screening request, unlike a random roadside "follow me," usually does have a specific, articulable reason behind it, even if that reason isn't stated outright. Asking directly, "Can you tell me what led to me being directed here?" is a reasonable way to get that reason on the record, the same way asking about the basis for a traffic stop is. The language that works across all of these scenarios. Regardless of which version of "follow me" you're facing, the same course sequence of questions applies. And it's worth having this memorized so it comes out calmly rather than as an afterthought once you're already following. First, am I under arrest? This is the single most important question because it changes everything else. If yes, the rules of an arrest apply, and continuing to argue about voluntariness on the roadside doesn't help you. Compliance with clear physical instructions, paired with invoking your right to remain silent and your right to an attorney, is the correct move from that point forward. Second, if you're not under arrest, is following you to this location voluntary? or am I required to? This directly tests whether what's being presented as routine is actually mandatory. Officers, when asked this plainly, generally answer honestly, because misrepresenting a voluntary request as mandatory can itself create legal problems for them later if the encounter is ever reviewed. Third, if it is voluntary and you'd rather not. I'd prefer not to. Is there anything else you need from me at this location? This isn't obstruction. Declining a voluntary request is, by definition, something you're allowed to do, and stating it calmly and clearly, while still cooperating with whatever is actually mandatory, keeps the entire interaction low tension. Fourth, if you do end up following, whether voluntarily or under a request you're not sure how to challenge in the moment, do exactly that and drive there normally, without any erratic driving that could create an independent, entirely new basis for further scrutiny. Arguing about the legality of the request while also driving unpredictably accomplishes nothing except adding a second problem to whatever the first one was. What changes once you arrive? If you do end up at a second location, whether voluntarily or under arrest, the questioning that happens once you're there deserves the same care as questioning at the roadside, arguably more, because the more controlled environment of a station is specifically the kind of setting Royer flagged as having heightened coercive potential compared to a public roadway. If you're being questioned in a way that feels like an interrogation rather than routine paperwork, and you haven't been told you're free to leave, that's worth directly asking about. Am I free to leave right now? If the answer is no, you're likely in custody for legal purposes, which means your right to remain silent and your right to an attorney apply with full force, and invoking them clearly. I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I'd like to speak with an attorney, should bring further questioning to a stop. It's also worth understanding that once you're in a station setting rather than a roadside stop, the informal, conversational tone of a traffic stop often shifts into something that reads more like a formal interview, even if no one uses that word. This shift in tone doesn't change your underlying rights, but it's exactly the kind of environment where people who wouldn't normally over-explain themselves on the street start doing exactly that, simply because the setting feels more official and cooperative silence starts to feel awkward. Recognizing that this pull exists ahead of time makes it easier to stay consistent with whatever you've already decided to say or not say, regardless of how the room itself makes you feel. There's a specific pattern worth watching for once you're at a second location. A shift from questions about the original incident toward broader questions that have little to do with whatever brought you there in the first place. If a conversation that started as accident paperwork or a minor violation drifts into questions about unrelated matters, that drift is worth noticing the same way it's worth noticing during a roadside stop. The same tool applies. I'd rather keep this to the original matter. Am I free to leave? Asked calmly. This recenters the conversation without requiring you to explain why you're asking. And it works exactly the same way in a station hallway as it does on the shoulder of a highway. Why this matters more than it seems to in the moment. The reason this specific scenario deserves its own detailed breakdown, rather than folding it into general traffic stop advice, is that the follow me moment is a genuine fork in the road, legally speaking. Everything that happens after you agree, where you are, who's around, how long you're there, what gets asked, is shaped entirely by that one decision, and it's a decision most people make instantly, without asking a single clarifying question, purely because the request is phrased casually. Asking, "Am I under arrest?" or "Is this voluntary?" doesn't make you look guilty, and it doesn't need to be said with any edge to it at all. Officers deal with these exact questions regularly, precisely because enough drivers know to ask them that it's a completely normal part of a stop, not an unusual escalation. Said calmly, these questions simply establish, on the record, exactly what kind of interaction you're actually in, which is the entire foundation everything else in this video is built on. It's worth being honest about the discomfort a lot of people feel asking these questions, because that discomfort is exactly why so few people actually do it in the moment. There's a strong social instinct to just go along with whatever's asked of you by someone in a position of authority, especially when the request is delivered casually. That instinct isn't irrational. Most interactions really are exactly as routine as they sound. But the entire value of asking these 2 or 3 questions is that they cost you almost nothing when the situation genuinely is routine, while protecting you significantly in the rare situation where it isn't. There's no version of this where asking calmly makes things worse. If you're not the only one involved. A detail that's easy to overlook. If you have passengers, or if you're being asked to follow along with another vehicle involved in the same incident, the voluntariness question applies to you individually, not to the group as a whole. A passenger isn't automatically bound by a driver's decision to follow an officer somewhere. And if you're a passenger who'd rather not go along with wherever the vehicle is headed, you can ask directly whether you're free to arrange your own transportation instead. This comes up more than people expect, particularly after accidents involving multiple people, where everyone is sometimes swept toward the same location as a matter of convenience rather than legal requirement. It's also worth thinking ahead about what following actually looks like logistically, because the practical details matter almost as much as the legal ones. If you do agree to follow, whether voluntarily or because you've confirmed it's genuinely required, it helps to actually know where you're going rather than simply trailing a patrol car through unfamiliar turns. Asking for the specific address up front is reasonable, and it also means that if you get separated in traffic, you're not left uncertain about where you were supposed to end up. The short version: before you follow anyone anywhere during a police encounter, ask whether you're under arrest. If you are, comply physically and invoke your right to silence and counsel. If you're not, ask whether the request to follow is voluntary or mandatory, and if it's voluntary, you're allowed to decline it calmly. If you do end up at a second location, remember that the more controlled setting doesn't change your rights. Even though it often changes how people behave, stay consistent with whatever you've decided to say, and ask directly whether you're free to leave if the questioning starts to feel like it's going somewhere you didn't agree to. If this is a moment you'd never thought to question before, that's exactly why I cover these. Subscribe now, so the next Follow Me request doesn't catch you off guard. Hit like so more drivers know to ask this before their feet are already moving. And drop a comment with the specific version of this: station, tow lot, checkpoint. You want me to go even deeper on. This is general legal education, not legal advice for your specific situation. Whether a request to relocate during a police encounter is voluntary, and what obligations apply at checkpoints or accident scenes specifically, varies by state and by the exact facts involved. If you're dealing with an actual situation like this, the right step is speaking with a licensed attorney in your state who can evaluate the specific facts, not general guidance from a video. Know the one question that changes everything: am I under arrest, or am I free to go? Ask it before your feet start moving, not after.